Welcome back to the Lions Den Sports Podcast. We got another episode for y'all coming right up. I'm Chase Gispert, along with
Adam Tullier.
and
I'm Troy Allen.
man, we're ready to bring y'all some more sports. So first, we're going to be talking about the basketball world, the FIBA tournament. Obviously, Team USA had a rather disappointing showing. Guess I'll start with you, Troy. What was your kind of overall thoughts on that?
Oh yeah. But first, real quick, we do want to shout out Germany for winning the whole thing, especially Dennis Schroeder as a former Laker. You know, always got root for my former Lakers. He played a vital role for us off the bench and starting sometimes even. So yeah, shout out to him and bringing home that cup. But as for Team USA, just a very disappointing outing. And, you know, one of the biggest reasons why I believe we just lost is if you look at the roster from, like, top to bottom, we're just way too small. We're way too small. You have Anthony Edwards, guard. Austin Reeves is a guard. Jalen Brunson, another guard. Tyrese Halliburton, another guard. Bobby Portis, he's an undersized center. Josh Hart, he plays a 3, but he's only 6'5".
No big bodies at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the big men are like, I know most basketball players are skinny, but
Yeah. But yeah,
most.
even like Jaren Jackson Jr. We put him at the 5 whenever he's really a 4, and like that really showed in the stats. I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. he averaged 2.9 rebounds per game. That's just not gonna cut it. Mikal Bridges, who's only 6'6", was getting more rebounds per game compared to Jaren Jackson Jr. As a matter of fact, Austin Reeves and Jaren Jackson Jr., they're only separated by 0.1 rebound. Jr. was 2.9 per game and Reeves was 2.8. So that's a bad thing whenever your quote-unquote center and your backup point guard is basically averaging the same amount of rebounds. So that's a really bad thing. So that's where I feel like we just failed this year. It's just that we didn't have enough size, and that's just one of the biggest things as to why we lost to Germany and Canada in back-to-back games.
So I share pretty much the same sentiments. The team was really filled with. I mean, obviously they're good players. They're in the NBA. You don't get in the NBA without being a good player. But it's just not a lot of the stars that the USA can produce was on that team. And I mean, like Germany with Dennis Schroeder and
Daniel Tice, Franz Wagner.
Yeah, like they're all star players that are in the NBA from that country, and we just have we have, you know, 5th men, 6th men on the team. But so that leads pretty well into LeBron saying that he's joining the 2024 Olympic team, and I don't think anything is confirmed about who's really in it yet, but it seems right now the starting lineup is Steph, LeBron, KD, Jason Tatum, and Joel Embiid, which that's a really good lineup.
If they lose a game,
I'd be surprised.
that'd be disappointing. they should lose a game with that starting 5.
Yeah. Especially, I really think a lot of this bounces out really well. Curry, obviously.
Yeah,
I'm not. I need to know more about basketball positions, but I mean, they all know their positions really well.
Yeah,
so they would gel really well.
And for Steph, this will be his first time playing for like the in the Olympics. He was, I'm not mistaken, I think on like that 2013, like 2014 squad, but like he's never participated in like the Olympics. So this will be his first year participating. But yeah, look, in an article by The Athletic from Shams and Joe Varden, apparently they say that LeBron has spoken to Steph, you know, KD, Anthony Davis, Tatum, Draymond Green, Devin Booker, Damian Lillard, De'Aaron Fox, and Kyrie Irving. Just all those guys right there. They've spoken to. Putting together a real good squad. I saw another article yesterday as well saying that they're trying to get Joel Embiid. Now, obviously, Joel Embiid is not from America. I believe from
I think think he's French.
No.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up. I want to say he's from Democratic Republic of Congo. I could be wrong.
I think he's from Africa. Yeah. But
Cameroonian.
Yeah.
Cameroon. Okay.
Yeah. He's from Cameroon. But I know he changed like his citizenship to like American, I think, something like that. I don't know.
That'd be big because he's the best center in the league besides Jokic, but obviously Jokic is an American. So
He holds. He's Cameroonian and has French and American citizenship.
Mm-hmm. So they're just trying to put together a team for next year, and that's really it. I like the team so far. If all these players join, of course, because like there's no set in stone thing. Because you do have to remember that the players we listed, especially Steph, KD, and Draymond, those guys are all like they're either in their mid-30s or they're approaching their mid-30s. They've been playing basketball for over a decade at this point. They have a lot of mileage on them, so nothing is set in stone. So nothing is set in stone as of right now. But if this is true, then we have one heck of a squad going into next summer. So hopefully we can bring home that gold. But continue on with basketball. Do you guys have any season predictions in terms of records and stuff like that?
The only thing I'm confident in is that I think the Nuggets will probably do it again.
Back to back.
Yeah, I think they're gonna repeat for sure. They just have. I mean, Jokic is just.
He's amazing.
Top 3 player in the league, and the support around him is amazing, and so I think I would be. They did lose one of their players.
Bruce Brown.
Yeah. Bruce Brown.
Yeah.
They lost Bruce Brown,
and he was an underrated part of that team. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially in the later half of their playoff run, he really shone. But
what was that utility man from? Good rebounder, can cut, can knock down an open shot, make the right decision on offense. So yeah, he was definitely a really valuable role player to them. Obviously, I think the Lakers are going to be a lot better this year. Whenever you just look at everything that they've done this offseason, they brought in Gabe Vincent, they re-signed Reeves, Rui Hachimura, they just re-signed Jared Vanderbilt to a 4-year deal. They brought in Taurean Prince, who shot 47% from the field last year, along with 38% from 3, as a 6'7" wing. That's really good. They just signed Christian Wood a couple of days ago, who's a stretch 5, can average about 14, 16 points a night on good efficiency. We're getting AD and Brown back healthy, so yeah, I think the Lakers are going to win around 52 games next year. So I think that's going to be. I think outside of Phoenix, I think the Lakers are going to be one of the better teams to actually compete with the Nuggets, especially considering that whenever you look at the Nuggets off season, they didn't really make any major moves. Now, obviously, you could say, well, they just won championships, so they're just going to run it back, even if they did lose Bruce Brown and Christian Brown. He's looking like he could step into that role. And they do a lot of the same things. They both are great cutters. Both are great finishers, high energy type players. But it's just my opinion. I think the Lakers are really gonna take that next leap forward next season to really combat the Nuggets heading into the playoffs and stuff like that. So that's really for basketball,
huh? I'd say my prediction probably. I don't think the Nuggets are going to repeat. I mean, they'll definitely make the playoffs. I just think it's so hard to do. The Lakers are loaded. The Suns as well got Bradley Beal. The Warriors got Chris Paul. I know he's old. If he could stay healthy, though.
I think the Warriors. If Chris Paul joined the Warriors 3 years ago, I think this would be a very different conversation. Even if everything was the same, if that whole team was any younger, I think the Warriors would be yet again a great contender for the championship. But I mean, really, the Warriors is Curry, Chris Paul, and Draymond Green.
I still got Clay. I know he's older, but
He's not as proficient as he was.
no, he's not. But I think he's still an all-star caliber player. But I agree. Yeah, he's definitely on the decline. They're getting older for sure. I would say this might sound like I don't know if it's a hot take. There's always one of the favorites, but I say the Celtics finally figure out that, I guess, team chemistry. I don't know, that it's been their bugaboo the last several years. I mean, they have the talent. I mean, they made the finals 2 years ago, lost in 7 to the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I'm gonna say Jason Tatum gets his first ring.
Yeah, that's not a bad take, especially with the addition of Kristaps Porzingis, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
A stretch 5. He came off a career year. I think he averaged like 24 and 8 on like elite splits. So that's not a bad take there. But transitioning to a little bit of NFL talk, the Vikings and Eagles did play last night, Thursday night football. That first half was like very weird.
I thought it was gonna be a classic Amazon Prime Thursday night football game.
Same. I was
but
like,
it picked up.
Exactly. But yeah, they had that one little stretch in like the late first, early second quarter where it was turnover after turnover.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, the Eagles, they had like a 3-and-out, and then Noel, he fumbled on the punt return. And the crazy thing about it is, had he not fumbled, I think the Vikings would have scored because like they had amazing field position. But then he fumbled. Then the very next possession, Hurts threw a pick on third down.
Right back to him.
Exactly, and I kid you not, on the first play of the first drive for the Vikings, a fumble by Mattinson. Just an ugly first half. And then obviously things picked up in the third quarter. The Eagles' rushing attack was just
DeAndre Swift had a breakout game.
Yeah.
And did we say that?
Yeah, we said to sit him. We said to sit him.
Yeah,
he does that.
Yeah, I think because I actually had him. Even though I said this to him, I actually had to start him just because J.K. Dobbins was out. So luckily for me, I didn't take my own advice. He went off. I think most yards rushing in a game since Shady McCoy for an Eagles player.
Yeah.
He's from Philly too, which is pretty cool.
Exactly, and not only does that speak to like the talent, because like obviously he's like a talented player, and like the cutbacks he was making last night were good, but like that offensive line was just
the holes
crazy.
Were pretty big.
Yeah, there was a segment I believe in the fourth quarter where Al Michaels was highlighting like the holes he was running through, and man, like that Eagles offensive line is just crazy.
They have the best offensive line in the league.
Yeah, it's been the case the last 3 years now. Like best offensive line in the league by far, and it was on display last night. Last night as a team, the Eagles had 259 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts again from the one.
That
that play literally cannot stop it.
No one can.
Just QB sneak at the one with Jalen Hurts.
Exactly.
Literally know it's coming, and he's just too strong. He just falls forward for a touchdown every time.
Not only is he like a strong quarterback, but that offensive line is strong too. So you have the offensive line push up against you. You have him falling forward, and then the 2 running backs pushing him too.
Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy. Like on like goal line situations, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, doesn't matter. Like you can't stop it.
Unless you got Troy Polamalu coming over the top. I don't know how you stop it.
Unless you jump over the line and sack them. Yeah,
exactly. And I know the Eagles, they have a new OC. I can't remember his name right now, but they have a new OC. Passing wise, Hurts. It looks like he's still trying to find his footing.
Yeah,
in the new
under
offense.
200 yards the first 2 weeks.
Exactly. So
Kirk Cousins had a much better game than Hurts. He
did.
Cousins was 31 for 44 for a little less than 400 yards, 4 TDs, and Hurts was 18 for 23 for less than 200, and he had an interception.
Yeah.
But I mean,
he was efficient. I think it was the game plan more. You can't take away from Kurt.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Eagles, I'd have to look at it if it's on there. The time of possession was obnoxiously in the favor of the Eagles, and I think they kind of wanted to ground and pound, keep the ball away from Cousins and Jefferson,
Oh yeah.
and it really worked to perfection. They gave up a good bit of points though in that second half, but they ultimately held on.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, for the Vikings, I know a lot of people like the Lions this year. I think it's the Lions' division to lose. I know it's only week 2, but starting off 0-2 is never a great sign.
No.
For the Vikings, really bad loss week 1 at home against the Buccaneers as well. Especially if the Lions, they're at home against Seattle. Actually, I think I picked the Seahawks to upset them, but I mean, if the Lions, they're favored at home, you would think they'd win. If they go to 2-0, still so much football to play, but you think they're in the driving position to win that division. And I wonder if Jefferson would. I remember at times last year it seemed like he was unhappy. I wonder if he would want out if they didn't make the playoffs this year, but we'll see.
I think that would be very likely. I think Jefferson is the top 5 receiver in the game, and he has been for a couple of years now. And it's clear that the Vikings will continue on their 75-plus year tradition of breaking their fans' hearts and not exceeding not at least meeting the expectations given to them. And I think it's very likely that Cousins will want out at some point. I think a dream for him would be to reunite with Burrow.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But I mean,
T. Higgins though.
Yeah, they already have Higgins and Chase up there, so I think anywhere that has a good quarterback or a good potential quarterback would be a good place for him.
Yeah, and speaking of the Vikings, their schedule's kind of tough. So next week, speaking with this 0-2 hole, next week they play the Chargers. That's going to be a toss-up. Then they get a little easy one at Carolina facing the Panthers. But then they got the Chiefs, which is going to be a tough one. Then they get another easy game against the Bears. But then they play San Francisco. So by week 7, at the midpoint of the season, you're looking at maybe 2-3 wins at the midpoint for the Vikings. And at that point, the schedule does eases up a little bit in the later half of the year. But this first half of the year, it's going to be rough for the Vikings. So they're going to be in a little dogfight to make the playoffs towards the second half of the season, especially if the Lions keep on winning and the Lions do what we think that they can do, which is, Jared Goff continues to be an efficient quarterback. They continue to use Jamar Gibbs and stuff like that. So, the Vikings are in a little bit of a hole heading possibly by the midway point of the season.
Yeah, the Vikings are, just every other week they're going against they're going against 3 Super Bowl contender teams and 4 playoff teams for sure. I'm not quite putting the Chargers at Super Bowl contenders yet, but
they're gonna Chargers as usual.
But
kind of like the Vikings, honestly.
Yeah, I think Chargers is definitely a lock for playoffs for the AFC though.
They'll probably get a wild card. I wouldn't say lock, but they have enough talent to make the playoffs for sure. They did last year.
Over 50% chance of making the playoffs this year. And then, Chiefs, obvious Super Bowl contender. Niners is a powerhouse in the NFC, and they just lost against the losing Super Bowl team last year. So.
Is there anything else? One thing I kind of just want to say, circling back to basketball, I feel like, too, I really, obviously, as a basketball fan and as an American myself, I think it's awesome that LeBron's kind of our generational players trying to band everyone together. I think, too, like, if you think about I feel like, I don't even know if the talent was an issue. Obviously we could have more. Like, you want to have our star players for sure, but I feel like it just means more to the other countries almost. Like, with their players, because it's probably like, the U.S. is, like, on top. And I could understand, like, some of the veteran players are like, oh, been there, done that.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to get hurt for the season. They already know we're obviously the top nation for basketball, but I like that LeBron's kind of trying to band everyone together.
Well, yeah, most definitely. And, like to add to your point about, players playing for their country, if you look at someone like Dennis Schroeder, right? Dennis Schroeder, for like the large part of his career, he's been like a role player, stuff like
Right.
that. So like he's never really had the experience of being like a number one option. But then he goes back home to play for his team, Germany, and he is the number one option.
Right.
He gets the plays ran for him, and so it's a different type of feeling whenever not only are you playing for your country, it's a place that you grew up in, a place that you know most about,
Right.
but you're also getting plays ran for you. You're holding the ball a lot more compared to the NBA. You now have a bigger role, and so that really feeds into why so many players love playing in FIBA because they have a bigger role and they're playing for a country that they're from. So that really just explains why FIBA is so much harder. And then also things like the rules are different as well. The court, there's no defensive 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike in the NBA, you can't stay in the paint for more than 3 seconds. If you do, it's a turnover, possession the other way. But in FIBA, you can pack the paint, and on top of the court being a little smaller, so you pack the paint.
And is the ball a little different as well?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
They don't use Spalding balls, I'm pretty sure.
So it's a learning curve for sure.
Mm-hmm. Which is why guys like Kevin Durant and LeBron were just so special because they could go anywhere and still produce high numbers, and which is why that Redeem team, I think that was 08. The 08 Olympics. That's why that team worked so well because everyone knew their role, and looking at that team was full of players who could go anywhere and produce on the basketball court. Didn't matter if it was NBA, FIBA, reg. Doesn't matter. They could produce and win. So that's what needs to happen going forward into next season. Which is why this new team makes so much sense. You're trying to recruit KD back. Obviously, Steph, the best off-ball player in league history, in my opinion. AD's great. Tatum, Draymond, Booker. All those guys are great. So, that's really it for, FIBA talk. Oh, but also talk about basketball. What do you guys think about Giannis and his comments about Noah Lyles? Obviously, that was a little bit of a hot take. People on social media were talking about that. Basically, Noah Lyles, he said USA team shouldn't call themselves world champions, and Giannis basically said, "Yeah, I agree. There's no world champion if you're playing for the NFL or NBA." So, just what are you guys' overall thoughts on that?
I completely agree with that. It is true that the NBA and the NFL and the MLB, these are all the premier sports league for those sports, right? If you're anyone in any of those games, you want to go to those sports leagues. But that doesn't mean that they're world champions. I think the NBA championship is just that. You are the champions of the NBA. Could you say that the NBA champions, if they played other teams around the world, would win? Sure. I think it's very fair to say that. I mean, I'm blanking on who won the NBA championship last year.
The Nuggets.
Yeah.
You said they're going to go back to back.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very fair to say that if you put the Nuggets against any team that the other countries can put against, the Nuggets would win. But that doesn't mean that they're world champion teams.
I 100% agree. Obviously, the NBA is far and away. I don't think anyone's debating that. But it's a league within the U.S. I don't think you can call yourselves world champions and then our team losing in FIBA only adds fuel to the fire. To me, all the NBA players are kind of getting mad, saying it was ridiculous. Well, why don't y'all step up and play next year so we go kick some butt,
right?
And claim that crown and be world champions, and then there's no debate.
And heading into Giannis's on the same podcast, he was talking about his future with the Bucks, and he stated obviously he wants to stay with the Bucks. But at the same time, if the Bucks aren't about winning, and there's a different situation where they're about winning, then he will leave to said situation. And I think it makes sense. Whenever you look at Drew Holiday, he's made comments about retiring after his contract.
When is his contract?
So at the end of this season, he has a player option for 2025. I think he's going to accept that because that's free money. So basically, he has this season in the 2025 season, and then his future is kind of up in the air. And then Brook Lopez, I know he's coming off a career year, but he's 35 years old.
Right.
Is he going to average another 15 points per game, shoot the ball well, and play elite defense at 36 years old? And the second best player in the Bucks, arguably Chris Middleton, over the last 2 seasons, he's had recurring knee issues, and he's approaching his mid-30s.
Right.
And so whenever you look at this Bucks core, they're getting older. You have a guy talk about retiring. You have another guy who's been in the league almost longer than I've been alive. And then you have another guy who's had recurring knee problems for 2 years at this point. So Giannis is looking like if we go another year where we lose in round 1 or round 2, he's going to have some serious questions about his future. Because he won a championship, rightfully so, just 2 years ago. He's a top 3 player at worst in the NBA. He's still in the prime of his career. So why would he want to try and go somewhere else and to win another championship?
That's pretty much my thoughts. I mean, yeah, Giannis already got his chip. He's good for. I think he's happy to stay for a little while longer. I think if the Bucks can be smart with free agents, both the remainder time before the season started this year, and any drafts that happen and stuff, and they start putting themselves back into a position where, in a year's time, Giannis might be a little older, but he's still going to be producing crazy numbers. I think it's very likely that Giannis will probably stay with the Bucks and do all that, but that, will the Bucks put in that effort to keep him there? Because, I mean, if, like you said, their core is aging, Giannis is the only one that's really still entering his prime, or at least he's well in his prime, and he's going to be for the next couple of years. If the Bucks decide that, it's better to get what they can for him and start rebuilding a team and have Giannis go somewhere where he can compete, I think that would be a good decision for the Bucks and Giannis. Or the Bucks can try to be smart and get players to build and keep Giannis, but that also runs the risk of failing, and now you have this superstar who's aging out of his prime. He's upset with the team, and now the team will get less than if they just traded him when they could have.
I think, obviously, no question, the Bucks are an aging team. It feels like their window is just getting smaller and smaller. Last year, I know, I think y'all would agree. I disagreed with Giannis's comments last year. I think he was just kind of upset about the loss in the series. But, that was quite obviously a massive failure to me.
Yeah.
They were the number 1 seed, correct? Or number 2?
Yeah. They
were one of the top.
They were 1 or 2. And
They were 1 because Miami was the 8th seed.
Yeah. So, it was a huge failure. I actually think that Giannis is going to move on. What is his contract like, though? I know you would know.
Oh, yeah. I know he signed that extension in, 2021.
Okay. I would just think he could stay, but I don't think he wants to rebuild because that's essentially what they're going to have to do.
Yeah, exactly.
With Lopez, Holiday, Milton, all the reasons you just said. And another thing, no disrespect to Milwaukee, but it's not like some desirable place or huge market. It's one of the smaller markets. He's such a marketable guy. I feel like at this point in his career, he's going to want to go to a big time organization.
Yeah.
And go chase another chip because he won. I feel like, I could be wrong. I'm not inside his mind, obviously, but he won one with a small market team. He stayed almost as long as. Kind of surprised he stayed this long, to be honest.
Yeah. He'll be entering year 10, which is kind of crazy.
All with the Bucks. So.
Exactly. So next season he makes $45 million, in 2025 is 48, and then he has a player option for 51 mil in 2026. Like I said, that's a player option.
Right.
So this season and next season is really going to determine if he declines or accepts that player option. And then even if he does accept it, that's not like a guarantee, he's going to stay. It could just be he wants his money and then he'll dip type situation. So, we'll just see what his future holds. And, I believe that's everything, right?
I'm going to correct the statement I made not that long ago. I did not realize that Giannis was in the league for that long. He's in the prime of his career right now.
Yeah.
He's not entering it. He's in it.
He's been in the league since 2014.
Right. He was a late bloomer as well. It took
Yeah.
him a few seasons to get acclimated to the league. Put on. I mean, if you saw his rookie, he was like this big his rookie year. Now he's massive. So
that's really it for the podcast, I think.
Yeah, I think that just about does it. So let us know in the comments anything else you'd like for us to talk about. Obviously, we're going to do our Fantasy Football Southeastern podcast every week, but like to kind of mix things up, freshen it up. This was Adam's idea, by the way. I think it's a great pod idea. And hopefully, Team USA takes home gold. King James, round up the boys.
Yes.
USA. All right, Lions Den Sports Podcast. I'm Chase Gispert.
I'm Tullier.
And I'm Troy Allen.
We'll see y'all next time. Peace.